Ha-yoon slowly opened her eyes, looking up at the ceiling instead of the sky or alley wall. There was a feeling of confusion, but slowly the memory of the man and soldiers came back. When she looked down, there were fluffy blankets surrounding her. It felt like she was being hugged by clouds. She grabbed the sheets and placed her face into it, enjoying the warmth and softness. Ha-yoon's eyes opened up quickly as she realized that she wasn't holding on to her doll. Frantically, she looked around, trying to find out what happened to it. She relaxed when she saw that it was placed on a nearby pillow. Reaching out for it, she held it close to her. The fear of having the only thing left from her family slowly receded back into the dark. A knocking sound surprised her, and when she sat up, she noticed a pretty lady in a uniform come in with a cart. Ha-yoon stared at the woman's hair and face, thinking how lovely she looked, though not as pretty as her mom and sisters. The woman quickly looked around the room and noticed that Ha-yoon was staring at her. With a warm smile, she pushed the cart towards the bed that Ha-yoon was sitting in. "Did you have a good sleep?" the woman asked. Ha-yoon felt shy, being asked such a thing from a lady like her. Pulling up the blanket up to her chin, she shyly nodded her head. The woman giggled at Ha-yoon's reaction. "You stayed asleep the entire time, never waking up. His Highness was thinking you would be hungry when you woke up, so he made sure to have food prepared for you." Hearing about the food made her realize that there was a delicious smell. Looking at the cart, Ha-yoon understood there was food on that tray. A loud growling noise was heard, startling the lady. Ha-yoon felt her face get hot for letting such a beautiful lady hear such an embarrassing sound. "Sounds like someone is very hungry," the woman said. "Luckily, I have some delicious food prepared for such a cute little girl." Lifting up the covers on several of the dishes, the woman revealed piles of sausages, eggs, bread, and fruits. "Do you think there is anyone who would be interested in eating all this food?" asked the woman. Ha-yoon was mesmerized by the food revealed to her, and quickly nodded her head to indicate that she would be interested in the food. It had been so long since the last time she had eaten, making the items on the plates look irresistible. The woman pulled out a tray that had legs on it, placing it over Ha-yoon's lap. One by one, each of the plates was laid on top of the tray, with silverware set next to them. With how close the food was, Ha-yoon could feel drool coming out of her mouth. Using her forearm, she wiped away the drool, not caring how it might look. Reaching with her hands, she grabbed the sausage and ate it. The juices and flavor flooded her mouth, the excess dribbling down her chin. "Slow down, or you're going to make yourself sick," the woman cautioned as she giggled from seeing how happy Ha-yoon looked. Grabbing a spoon, she shoveled some eggs and fruits into her mouth. Each of the differing foods felt like nothing she had tried before. After some time had passed, the last item was eaten by Ha-yoon, who looked sad after seeing her plate was empty of food. "Do not worry, there will be more food later. We do not want to have you overeat," the lovely lady reassured her. "I am happy that you enjoyed the food." "It was delicious," Ha-yoon spoke out, glad to have the feeling of being full. The food felt warm and comforting in her belly. The woman placed a hand on top of Ha-yoon's head, smoothing her hair. "It is good that you enjoyed the food. There is a bath that you can use when you feel like it. Feel free to walk around the palace. Soldiers are still looking for your parents, so do not worry." Hearing the woman mention her parents caused tears to appear in her eyes. Seeing her act like that, the woman was surprised. "What is wrong?" "Do not worry, your parents will be found, and then you can go back home." She tried to cheer up Ha-yoon. "My family was eaten by a monster," Ha-yoon managed to say. "What?" The woman was shocked by this revelation. "When did this happen?" "During the last overflow," was all she could say, not being able to elaborate further. "Oh, my child," the lady embraced Hayun. "So you were the child of that poor family." The warm water felt nice as the lady poured some on Hayun, washing away the flowery-smelling soap. After Hayun had cried from thinking about her family, the woman offered to help Hayun take a hot bath. She said that a hot bath would make Hayun feel better. In the other room, there was a large bathtub. After turning something, water began to pour out. Once the tub was filled, the woman helped Hayun out of her clothes and gently put her into the warm water after making sure that the water wouldn't burn her. Pouring some kind of liquid into the water, Hayun started to see bubbles forming. The entire room was filled with the smell of a large garden. She enjoyed the feeling of having the woman lather Hayun up with the soapy water. Later, she was taken to a second tub that was filled with more hot water. The second tub washed her of all the soap, making her skin look all shiny and smooth. "See, a bath is a perfect thing after a sad event," the woman chirped. Hayun nodded her head, feeling happy from being treated so well after what she had experienced in the streets. After she was clean and feeling refreshed, something she hadn't experienced since the death of her family, the lady used a fluffy towel to dry her off with, and once she was dried off, Hayun was led back into the room with the bed. Instead of putting on the same clothes, there was a dress laid out on the bed. Her eyes widened at seeing such a dress. It was pink with lots of lace and ribbons on it. "This will look so cute on you," the lady smiled as she helped Hayun into the dress. With the dress on, Hayun looked at the full-size mirror and spun around. Watching at the dress rose up and spun a little as she stopped. Looking back at the lady, Hayun said quietly, "Thank you, pretty lady. It is only natural for someone like you to wear such an outfit. I am confident that you will become a beautiful lady and have many men chase after you." She hugged Hayun, making all the sadness inside of Hayun disappear. "Now, before you get to explore the palace, you should go see the emperor. He was the one that prepared all of this for you, so it'd only be proper that you thank him." Hayun was amazed that the old man was the emperor, causing her to feel both nervous and excited. He was very nice to her, bringing her here. She hoped that there was something she could do for him, since her mother always taught her that acts of kindness should be given back with even more. Seeing that Hayun was looking forward to meeting the emperor, the lady held out her hand for Hayun to grasp. Reaching out her hand, Hayun took the lady's hand and they walked out of the room. Outside the room was even more impressive than the inside. Though there were many more people, the hallways were sparkling with various pretty stones and what she knew as gold. As she passed by people, they greeted her and asked how she was doing. At first, Hayun moved towards the lady because she was worried how the people would treat someone like her. This feeling disappeared quickly as she became more confident. Eventually, they reached a gilded door that had 2 rows of soldiers in full armor. Though none of them turned their head, Hayun felt that they were staring at her. This made her a little less confident as the doors were open and she saw a majestic room. There was a long red carpet leading up to a large throne with the old man she knew from before. Seeing the kind man made everything better, and even knowing that he was the emperor, she didn't mind it that much. As the 2 of them walked towards the throne, she saw the beautiful lady who was in the carriage standing next to the old man. Both of them had big smiles on their faces. "My, who is this beautiful young girl?" the woman mock exclaimed. Hayun blushed at the reaction, feeling like she was a princess. Holding the doll in her hand, she tried to curtsy as she had seen in stories her mother used to read to her. "Wonderfully done!" The emperor clapped his hands together. Everyone else joined in with the clapping, making Hayun smile in joy at how they seemed to appreciate her effort. "How are you feeling, little one?" the emperor asked, worry on his face. "Did you have a good night's sleep? I do hope you enjoyed the food." Nodding her head vigorously, Hayun exclaimed, "It was wonderful. I felt like a princess." "Ha ha ha! I am glad to hear that you had such an amazing time," the emperor laughed. After laughing for a time, his expression became depressed. "I am sorry that we have yet to find your parents, little one. I have sent numerous soldiers to find them, but they have returned with no success." "Your Excellency, I have learned that this young lady's family was the victim of the monster attack during the prior overflow," the lady told the old man. Everyone's eyes opened wide at hearing such unexpected news. The beautiful lady next to the old man pulled out a long cloth and began dabbing her eyes. She leaned closer to the old man and said something, causing him to look very serious and nodding his head as if in agreement. There was silence in the room, making Hayun feel a little self-conscious as she didn't know if there was something wrong. She was scared about being thrown out and back to the streets, especially after such an experience. Clutching her doll, she braced herself for the bad news. Shaking his head in sorrow, the emperor finally broke the silence. "This is terrible news. For such a young lady to be without a family and living on the streets, I am sorry that you were left to fend for yourself in my empire." Hearing the old man apologize to her made Hayun tear up. She tried her best not to cry and be strong, especially since she didn't want to ruin such a pretty dress with her tears. "Leaving you in the streets is not something I can allow," the emperor told her. Smiling at her, he asked, "If you want, would you like to stay in the palace? We will give you food and shelter and also train you to be a fine woman." Hearing the emperor's offer, such a thing was something Hayun wasn't expecting. Being able to live in the palace and not on the streets sounded fantastic. Without a moment's hesitation, Hayun answered, "I would love that, Your Excellency." After agreeing to the deal, Hayun heard the door to the throne room open. Looking back, she saw two women, one of them holding a young boy in her arms. Both of them didn't show any emotions, each one having a scar on their face. The young boy looked delighted, especially being carried. "Excellent timing. Young lady, I would like to introduce you to the person you'll be looking after. This is my son, Eric, the fourth prince."